A very good morning. My name is Antoinette Nirvana, and you're listening to the Body and Mind Skype interviews. Body and Mind is a health and wellness online directory for professionals. And today, Body and Mind welcomes Barbara Kuppers. Good morning, Barbara. How are you doing?
Good morning, Antoinette. I'm very well. Thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I can't complain. Thank you. We finally had some rain here in Cape Town. Today we're going to talk about you and who is Barbara Kuppers and the work that you are doing and how you got onto your journey.
Right. Let's not make that a long story. I'm a woman in my 60s. I got divorced for the second time in my life in my early 40s, and that sort of cracked me open into not knowing what life was all about anymore. And so I decided to go on a journey of what is up with me that life feels so helpless and hopeless. And I started doing therapy with a wonderful woman, and then I started learning lots and lots of different types of therapies because therapy became my field of interest. And at some stage along that journey in 2009, I was introduced to Dr. David Berceli's trauma release exercises, which is a body-based process, which was a bit different to what I'd learned in the past, and it blew me away. And I have since then, I did all Dr. David Berceli's workshops when he came to South Africa, and I was then chosen to become a trainer. And I am one of the most privileged human beings on this planet to be doing this awesome work.
Wow. And this TRE that you are talking about, so what does that entail? Could you give us a little bit more about what the modality is, the benefits of doing TRE, and, how would people, how many times would people come and see you?
Right, so that's some lovely questions. TRE stands for Trauma Released Exercises. It is not an exercise program. We just use a number of exercises to reinitiate into the body a shaking mechanism, which is the body's normal and known stress release mechanism, which we learned to shut down long ago. So the exercises and the TRE themselves are extremely simple, uncomplicated, easy to do. And at the same time, we're working with trauma, and human beings are complex and complicated. So despite the fact that the process itself is simple, there has to be some self-awareness and some self-management together with the process. And so the way I teach it is through coaching. I call it coaching for stress and trauma management, because people come to me for a number of sessions, and that becomes very individual for each person. And I teach them the process, but more than teaching the process, I teach them how to manage the overwhelming sensations and emotions that can arise in the process. How long does it take is individual.
Okay, so, and then of course you also able to do some of those exercises at home, once you are kind of over the major release, you to maintain yourself. Is that correct?
Oh, that's what's so amazing about the process, is that once you really got the process and how to manage the things that come up during the process, you can do this at home on your own. You're feeling stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, life's driving you nuts, you go and do your process. It's absolutely awesome.
But then it's also advisable to maybe come like once a month or once every 8 weeks or so, if you feel you need to be facilitated, to then come to a person like yourself who facilitates TRE.
Now, that's another aspect of trauma, actually. Trauma always happens in the presence of another, and healing happens in the presence of another. So as much as it's wonderful to be independent and to be doing this process on your own, it is really doubly helpful, if that's the right kind of wording, to be in the presence of someone who holds the space, a safe space for you to experience whatever you're experiencing. And it's that interpersonal healing that happens.
Okay, great. That I've got a better understanding about this now. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about David's work, or you wanted to chat a little bit more about him?
Yeah, sure. Dr. David Berceli was once upon a time, he's a man in his 60s as well, was once upon a time a Catholic monk. And he worked in Africa and the Middle East in very impoverished communities. And he started to see the kind of stress and trauma that people have. And he thought, honestly, there must be something that's available for people en masse, because not everyone's got the time or the money to see providers, people who hold space for us. And he started to become very curious about it, and for many years looked at different aspects of it. And at one stage, he really got this thing that when you've had a stressful situation, children still shake, but adults don't. And he wanted to know what that was all about. So he went back to America. He's from America originally. And he went into all these different types of trauma techniques and really found it this way, which really is growing exponentially in the world because it's such a deeply transformative process.
Great, thank you. And then also, Barbara, you don't only do TRE, you do Byron Katie's work as well, don't you? And what is that, and what does Byron Katie stand for in her work as a modality?
Right. So Byron Katie is she's a wonderful, beautiful woman who teaches a process about working with our thinking. So any kind of thinking that keeps us in a stressful situation, you do a process around that by asking questions. It's a self-inquiry process. And I do that, and I've been doing that for many years. The way I do that is more actually in groups than as individuals, though I work as individuals as well, because when we work in a group, we get to see how we all have the same kind of thoughts and the same kind of beliefs, and we're all in this together. So it's a wonderful way for people to not feel separated and alone, and to understand that we all have our own stressful thoughts, which everyone else seems to have as well.
Yeah, that's one of the main things, is that we never know really what is behind a person's way that they behave or actions, or even the way that they're saying something. And the great ways to understand what is really behind what this person is saying, and getting a clearer understanding of the stress that they're dealing with.
Exactly. So there's two different things. The TRE is a body-based modality. The Byron Katie is a mind or thinking-based modality. So they also work very well together, and I keep them very separate. I don't do one with the other. I do them separately.
Okay, cool. So if there's anything else about your modalities or the work that you're doing that you'd like to share with us before we get into workshops and contact details, etc., is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Maybe just to say that my absolute passion is to work with TRE in individuals, because it's a very deeply personal process, and in Byron Katie more in groups. They work differently for me, and I like to work differently with them. So I'm not a groupie, meaning holding groups for TRE other than the training that I do. I prefer individual work, and in the Byron Katie work, I like the group work.
Okay, thank you. And then, so to do group work with you with the Byron Katie work, or to come and see you on an individual basis for the TRE, what do you have as group classes that is ongoing at the moment that you could share and people could join? And how can people get in contact with you to come and see you for a TRE session?
Okay, so I have a thing called an inquiry circle, which is the Byron Katie work, one Wednesday morning a month. I'm changing that next year to another morning. And my next one is on the 27th or the 29th, Wednesday, the 29th of November. So that's the Byron Katie work. The TRE, I do training twice a year. My next training is in February next year. And I have a talk next Saturday, which is, I think, the 11th of November in the morning, on what is trauma and why do we need to work with it. And otherwise, people can just phone me and book private sessions.
Okay, so where are you based, Barbara, and where is the talk going to be, from what time to what time, and how can they book for your talk that's happening on the 11th of November next Saturday?
Okay, so to get hold of me in any way, they can phone me. Should I give my number? 083 324 6582. I have an email address, which is Barbara, BARBARA .KUPPERS @gmail.com. I'm also on the Body and Mind website. I'm also on the TRE for Africa website, though I'm very naughty about updating my stuff there.
And then
Yeah, you asked something
what
else.
time is your talk on Saturday, and where is that taking place?
Okay, that's true. So I work in Bryanston in a beautiful little healing center. It's at 9:30 to 11, I think. That has to be, I have to confirm that, but it's in the earlyish morning. And I also work currently in Buccleuch, though I'll be working in Sunny Hill Gardens from next year. So I've got two practices. One is from home. It's a smaller practice at home. And one is in Bryanston where my rooms are.
Great. So that is where your talk will be taking place then on Saturday, the
Correct, in
11th,
Bryanston.
from about 9 o'clock. And
Yeah.
if they want to confirm on those times, they can contact you on the number that you've already given out. And then if they have missed any of those, they can go to the Body and Mind website, which is www.bodyandmind.co.za. And in the search bar, they can just put in Barbara Kuppers or TRE, and her contact details will come up. And you are based in Johannesburg, correct?
Oh, correct. I didn't even think of what place I was in. Yes, Johannesburg.
Great.
The crazy city.
Yeah, great. Okay, then, Barbara, I think that is then all the information that we can do today in the time that we can do our interviews. We thank you for your time, and yeah, we hope that your talk goes really great on Saturday, and good luck with everything else.
Antoinette, thank you so much, and thank you for your time and for Body and Mind and all that they do for the healing field.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.